Good morning everyone, and welcome back to the science class once again. As in the previous classes, we had learned about the living things, non-living things, then the features of living things, then features of non-living things. So let us just revise some points, right? Okay. We had discussed about the features of living things. Features of living things. Number one point was that living things breathe. Okay. Number two, living things move. Number three, living things grow. Number four, living things has a lifespan. Okay. That means till the age, till up to a certain age, that living thing has to live, and then it has to come an end. That is death. Right. Next, all the living things need food. Yeah, because without food we cannot do any kind of work. Even the plant, they require water, air, sunlight, right, in order to be sustained life. Okay. And in the same way, human beings, they eat food like veg. Those who are vegetarians, they all eat veg, right? Those who are non-veg, they eat meat, fish, egg, along with the veg items, right? Okay. Then next we have learned about the living things can feel the changes. We human beings have 5 sense organ: eyes to see, nose to smell, right? Nose to smell, ear to hear, tongue to taste, and skin to feel. Okay. Next, living things reproduce. Reproduce means to give birth to the young ones and make our offsprings in a proper manner. Okay. Next, today, new thing we learn about that living things gives out waste. Waste means what? The unwanted things, like we human beings, we also throw unwanted from our body in the form of urine, as well as okay, let us read this. Living things gives out waste from their body. Getting rid of the waste is important for their survival. Like when we do any kind of hard works, we get sweat. That is also known as one type of waste from our body. Okay. Next, you talk about urine. Okay. Next, third point, you talk about early morning, right? Early morning we go to the washrooms to clean ourselves, right? That is also a part of the waste which is removed from our body. Got it, everyone? Okay. Now let us read this. Animals gives out waste in different forms, such as carbon dioxide, sweat, and urine. As I have already said you about these three points, right? Next we talk about plants. What are the waste products of the plants? See, plants gives out waste in the form of gum, okay, resins, and oxygen. As we breathe out, that is a waste product of our body in the form of carbon dioxide, right? In the same way, plants also gives the waste. How? Plants breathe in carbon dioxide and they give out, that is the waste, that is the oxygen which we take in, right? Okay. Next, gums. We see some white kind of things and that reddish gum type, that is known as the waste of the plants or the trees, right? Next, last point of this chapter, your living things and non-living things, is that the difference between the living things and non-living things. What is it? It is the difference between the living things and non-living things. Okay. What is your subject? It is your science, right? Today's date is your 5/5/2020. Okay. Now, what is the topic or the point which we are going to discuss? We are going to talk about the differences between living and non living. Right? Okay. Differences between living things and non-living things. Make a line here. This side you will be writing living things. Living things. And here non-living things. Okay. Number 1 point. Living things breathe. Okay. They breathe. Non-living things, do they breathe? No. Non-living things do not breathe. So number 1 point here will be do not breathe. Okay. So number 2 point. Number 2 point is they move from one place to another. But non-living things, do they move? No, they do not move. Do not move from one place to another. Right? Okay, third point. Third point we talk about that living things, they grow. Living things grow. But do not, these non-living things, they grow? No. So third point here it will be that they do not grow. They do not grow. Right? Okay. Now, next of living thing, we have learned that living thing has a lifespan. Living thing has a lifespan. Up to a certain limit they will be living. After that they has to come to an end. That is the death. But living things, they do not grow, so they don't need any kind of lifespan, so they do not have lifespan. Number 4 point is do not have a lifespan. Right? Okay. Next, we'll talk about food. Living things, do they need food? Yes. Fifth point is they need food. They need food to live and to do many kind of work. But living things, do they need food? No, they do not need any kind of food. So fifth point will be do not need food. Right? Because they are non-living things, so they do not need any kind of food. Right? Next point, feel changes. Living things, they have the sense organs, so they can feel it, right? But non-living things, they don't have any kind of sense organ, so they do not feel any kind of changes around them. Okay. So sixth point is that living things, they feel changes. They feel the changes. But non-living things do not feel any changes among them. Right? Next, we'll talk about reproduction. Living things, they reproduce. Living things, they reproduce. They reproduce. But non-living things, they reproduce. They do not reproduce. Right? Last point is the examples. Right? Last point is the examples. Examples of living things. 8th point, examples. Let us give some examples of living things. We human beings, man, woman, child, then plants. Right? Human beings, plants and animals. Example will be what? Human beings, plants and animals. These are the living things. Now, when you talk about non-living things, can you give some examples of non-living things? It is very easy. Right? Stones, table, chair, pen, pencil, right? Sun, moon, Earth. Earth Earth is a non-living thing, but inside the earth, the living things are present. That's why we call as the earth the life. Okay. We can see here examples. We can give examples like books, pencil, hats. Okay, stone, sun, moon. These are also the examples of non-living thing. Like stone, stars, pen, pencil, books, etc. Right? So what are the things that we have learned in this chapter? That living things, they breathe, they move, they grow, they have a lifespan, they need food to grow and to do any kind of work, they can feel the changes, they can reproduce, and examples of all these living things are human beings, plants and animals. Okay, now let us talk about non-living things. Non-living things, they do not breathe, do not move, do not grow, do not have a lifespan, do not need any kind of food, do not feel any kind of changes, do not reproduce. And examples of all the non-living things are stone, okay, stone, star, sun, moon, pen, books, hat, pencils, etc. Right? Okay, thank you. Okay, in this is the end of this chapter. So I hope you all have understood. Okay, wherever you have doubts, you can ask. I can explain that topic again. Right? Thank you.